Okay, here we go. So today is where you take all the little things we've taught you about matrices and you put them all together and actually answer some word problems about matrices. So we'll get there in a second. First thing I want to do is review what I taught you the other day. So we're going to go with 4, 5, -4, -5. Please put that in as matrix A on your calculator. If you didn't learn that yesterday, you need to learn it now. If you didn't watch the video from yesterday, you'd be really lost right now, but I'd come over and help you. But you've got to get this into matrix A. You go under the matrix menu and choose Edit, Edit A. I want to make sure that you have this in your calculator in just a moment. Okay, so assuming you got this in as matrix A, let's just do something super simple first. Let's go to A. So you got to get out of the matrix menu to put the 2 in. And then you go back in the matrix menu to pull this guy up. And then if you think about it, shouldn't it be just double all the numbers? Make sense? All right. Did that work for you? All right. Now, this is one where I've seen this happen so many times, and it gets really frustrating for me when people get lost and then don't want to ask for help. So I'm going to have you have a partner. Would you please move up to the front here because you want a partner with us. And then, as soon as you come up here, we're going to have these rows slide over next to each other, 6 inches apart. Good. Use your rows. Slide over. What? Go over there. You guys just slide your desk over and move back by him. All right. And we're going to make this a group of 3.
What's it at?
2.
These guys are a group of 3. All right. Now, we just doubled the matrix. That's pretty easy. Did we actually change matrix A? No, matrix A is still in there as the same numbers. Okay, now, what if I wanted you to do the inverse of A? What's the like point of an inverse? Like, what does it do to it if I do the inverse of it? Yes?
Multiply A with 1.
If you mean that is an inverse. Or did you mean if you multiply A with the inverse of A? Okay, that's also true. If you multiply A times its inverse, what will you get? You'll get 1, except how do you say 1 in matrix language?
1, 0, 0.
Yeah, this would be like, this is what 1 looks like in matrix language. Okay, so for right now, I would like you to just find the inverse of A. It is not super straightforward. If you had to do it by hand, it'd be way harder, but you're using a calculator. A, power of -1. Please compare with the kid next to you, see if you got the same thing. If you don't, talk about it.
I got an error. There is no
Error? How could an error ever happen?
no solution.
So isn't that weird that some things don't have an inverse in matrix world? Or if you remember, you did it to do it by hand. To do it by hand, you got to go 1 over the determinant, and it must be that the determinant was what? 0. Because see, that's what would make the whole thing die. I want you to figure out with your partner I know the determinant was 0, but how do you get this again? Talk to your partner. How do you get that?
To multiply these minus
You start with, and it matters what you start with. You start with those 2, and then you subtract, I'm going to use a different color, these 2 multiplied. And so they both come out to -20. And if you have -20 minus -20, that's going to really turn into plus 20, and that becomes 0, and that's why it doesn't work. All right. Okay, next thing is the determinant. We did that by hand, but do you remember how to do it with the calculator? Just go determinant, DET. Hint, it's under the math matrix menu. Just make sure you know how to do it with a calculator, because if it's a 3 by 3 matrix, you're not doing it with your head. It should come out to 0, that's the point. But did you know where it was in the calculator? DET. Raise your hand if you feel like you've got that. Okay, good. Then we can move on, because that was pretty much yesterday's lesson. If we had this 7 times n equals 21, you would know to do divide by 7, but you can't do that in matrix world, because you can't divide in matrix world. Okay, so in matrix world, when you have something like 2, 1, don't write this down, just listen. X, Y, 5, 8. First of all, it's possible that the way this is set up, there's no way to do it. Remember that matrices don't just act like normal equations and normal numbers. But if there was a way to do it, if this is matrix A and this is matrix B, what would you want to do to both sides to get rid of matrix A, and then you'd have X and Y alone? What do you want to do to both sides? You can't divide matrices. Multiply by the inverse. If I multiply by the inverse of A, it'll work. And this is the part you've got to remember. It's got to be on the left side, because do you remember that if you switch them around, they don't give the same answer? Like A times B is not the same as B times A. In matrix world, they're different. Okay, so when you're doing the inverse on both sides, why are we doing this again? So that the inverse will cancel this matrix and it'll just be gone. And then you'll have XY alone. So you've got to have the inverse of A on the left side, because it won't be the same if you've put it over there. Okay, so will this one actually work? Probably not. So let's go to one that I guarantee you will actually work. Please go to this page. Which one's matrix A? Well, the first one you see. That one. This is A. That's matrix A. This is matrix B. How do I get rid of matrix A? You can't divide by matrices, so you multiply by the inverse. So take a second, change your matrix A, put it in the calculator. Some of you zoning. Focus. Get matrix A in the calculator. Get matrix B in the calculator. Now, one of the challenges on the test is some kids are going to just write the answer and they're going to get it wrong, because I have to see some work. So the first thing that you should do probably would be to figure out what matrix A inverse is. And then write that down on the test. It shows me that you found the inverse. Because see, if you multiply by the inverse here and here, you'll get it. Again, the excuse, I just use my calculator, is not going to get you points. You've got to show your work. That's part of your work, but actually showing me what the inverse actually is. What are these 4 numbers? That would be part of showing your work. We have this deal in the math department that we will not give points for no work. Okay. SAG, what did you get for the inverse of A?
1, negative 0.5, negative 0.5, 0.5.
Regular 0.5 at the end?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys can verify that one? Good. All right, and when you times this, you don't have to show me that. I know that the whole point of that is that it disappears. It's gone. It turns into 1, 0, 0, 1, which is like 1 in matrix world. And that means these are alone. And that means the answer is going to be this, except so common for people to put this inverse right here. No, it has to be on the left, just like it was here. It has to be on the left. Inverse A times B. You can just do that on the calculator. That's all right. And that'll tell you your final answer. XY is what? Leo, you got it?
I got 3-5.
Raise your hand if you had 3-5. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, that's pretty much it. Now, can you do it without my help? Try the green one. Solve it without, and this time, I'm okay with you not showing me all the work. It's a lot of pain in the butt to show me all the work. You have to do that on the test, but for right now, just solve it. Don't let it freak you out that they put an A there. You can still use matrix A and matrix B for the two matrices. You're just going to solve for A, get A alone at the end, and it doesn't matter what letter they used right there. Yes.
On the test, if your the inverse of your matrix comes out to like
Decimals?
yeah.
Just give me the first couple of places of the decimals. That's it. It's just showing me work. And the answer, I would definitely use the full decimals that are in your calculator to get your final answer. And in this case, I'm hoping by now, how many of you guys are already done? You've got the answer. Awesome. If you didn't know what to do, it was inverse A on both sides, but really this inverse A is just going to cancel that inverse A, so I wouldn't go all the work of showing that that cancels unless I was doing the test. Here, I would have just done inverse A times B after I got my matrices in there. All right. Mr. L, what'd you get?
I didn't do it.
Didn't know how to put an A?
No, I did something terribly well. It says validation.
Okay, then what I would do is look at your A matrix. Would you open your A matrix right now?
Yeah.
Does it say 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, go open your B matrix.
Yep.
Does it say 5, 6, 7, 8?
Yes.
Okay, then type exactly this. Get A up on the screen, outside of the matrix menu, like get out on the main screen.
Yeah.
Get A there. Then use the -1 key on the calculator. And then just to be extra sure it's going to work, put times. I don't think you need that.
I think I put it backwards.
Ah, backwards is a big deal.
I put it backwards.
Okay. Remember how I said the order matters?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you have it now?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
Yeah, -3, -4, 4, 5.
Wait. 4, 5. You guys verify that one's right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Now, do you get that they didn't give you any word problem here? They just gave you the matrix problem. That's the final level is what if they give you a word problem? Can you pull out the numbers to make these matrices and then solve it? So it's like, can you get the words to turn into matrices? All right, So we're gonna look at this. This is an important slide right here, this yellow one. What if they gave you the info in two equations? Look at how they turned this into matrices. You got the left side of the equations and the right side of the equations. And then they stripped out all the variables. This turned into this. Do you see how they did that? They just pulled out the 2 and the 1 and the 5 and the 3. And you're like, there's no 1. Well, there's would be a 1 there, wouldn't there? 2 and the 1 and the 5 and the 3 came out. And the XY came out. And the 5 and the 13 came out. And look, it's a system of equations. And you can solve it with matrices. That's kind of cool. Like, how do you normally solve these things? Normally you go like this. And then if it were me, I'd use elimination. I would make this, multiply this by -3 here and here and here. And it's kind of a pain in the butt. Then you make these go away because they cancel, and then you have to add, and you know, like there's a way to solve that. But this is a pretty cool way to solve it. Make it into this, and then make it into this. And you got a system of equations. And if this is the A matrix and this is the B matrix, if you can stay consistent with that, then you're always going to go inverse A, and it'll be inverse A times B. That's all you got to do. All right, let's not do that one. Let's just take a system of equations, like right here, the blue one. Let's see if you can make the problem. I know you can solve it. We just did 2 of them. But can you make the system? Hint, there's just an X and Y. It look like this. All right, since they didn't have a 1 here, I'm just going to put it there for extra clarity. Then there's a 1, -3, 2, 5. Now, I want you to think about this for just a second. Do you think it would matter if I switched these 2 around? Yeah, it would totally change everything. So do you think it matters that X has to be first and Y has to be second like this? Yeah. So sometimes we might give you the equation where like they don't have them all lined up. Like maybe the X and the Y are in different spots here. You'd have to have them lined up. The first numbers both have to be X's. The second numbers both have to be your Y's. You can't just have them jumbled all over the place and just slap them in a matrix. It's got it, because moving these numbers around would, of course, matter. All right, now you've got your matrix A and your matrix B. Finish it off, get the answer. Type in edit matrix A. Remember? Here's the finish. Inverse A on both sides. That'll cancel that. And XY will be whatever inverse AB is. Raise your hand if you're already done. Okay, good. Let's see. Henry Hansen, what'd you get?
1, -1.
like that. Raise your hand if you had 1, -1. Okay, good. You feel like you get it? That was the last melon. Then tomorrow's review and the test is the next day. Feels like it's coming up quick, doesn't it? All right. So this one, look close. Is there any catch in the green problem? Is there any twists? No, I don't think there's any twists. So it should take you like 2 seconds to write it. Make it into matrices. We're not even going to solve it. If you can make the matrices part, I know you can solve them now. But you're in honors. It's going to be twists. But not on this one. You can check up on the board. And that's what you should have had. These are actually pretty easy to do, aren't they? You could do this on the ACT, for example. Not many people do. But you could. Do you get that for solving a simple system, it might not be worth it, but what if it was a triple system? 3 equations. Those are really hard to do by hand. And this, you could do it pretty easy. Like that. I would use this on the calculator on the ACT test. Is there any twists in this? Yeah, what's the twist? That there's something like weird. What's weird about this? Yes.
No X value.
Yeah. What do you put for that then?
0.
Perfect. Now you can keep nice square matrices. Please set up the matrices.
Set up or solve?
Just set it up. And yes, they just go X, Y, Z. Do you get how that was pretty quick? Let me just show you from here that you can actually answer this. So take a second, type this in, it's matrix A. This is one of the only times when your matrix isn't 2 by 2. So take a second, use matrix A, matrix B. Remember, rows, then columns. Clearly A is a 3 by 3, but B, you got to know your rows from your columns. Picture yourself on the ACT. There's often one of these questions. If you know how to set these up. You can take a problem that's going to take most kids 10 minutes, and you can do it in 1. During work time today, please remind me to hand back your tests that have been graded and now the R4 has been double checked because there was some dispute on what the R4 was. But I got it figured out. Okay. All right, how many of you are done? Raise your hand if you're done. Okay, awesome. At the end, how do you solve it? You go inverse A here. That cancels out the other A. And it has to stay in the right order. Inverse A, then B. If you put that on your calculator at the end, you did it right. And your X, Y, Z came out to... Seiji, what'd you get? Okay. Nordstrom, did you get it?
I got -3, and 2.
Raise your hand if you had the same thing as him. Sweet. Okay. That's actually a really hard problem, and we solved it. We know what X, Y, and Z are. That would be really hard to do by hand. All right. So, only challenge here is that it's all rearranged. If you figure out that, oh, I just have to get all the X's and Y's and Z's on the left, and then this isn't that hard. Take a second and just set it up. Don't have to type anything, just set it up. I'm okay with you just setting it up directly. Like, you know it's going to have an X, Y, Z like this. Just figure out what your three numbers are. The three numbers at the end are super easy. You just got to think about where you'd be moving the X's and the Y's and how that changes them. If you started with 4, -4, 1, you're on the right track. I believe I have it. If you can double check yours against mine, anybody verify that you got the same thing as me? Bunch of people are nodding. Okay. Now, if you're like, how did you get those numbers to be different? They were like different negative wise than what I had. Well, you have to move this over to the left side. And you have to move this over to the left side. And when you move them over, you're really like adding 4x to both sides. They're gonna become the opposite sign of what they used to be. This 2 had to move over to the other side. That's why it became -2 down here. Okay? All right, cool. You know everything that you have to know. Could you take words and make it into equations, which could in turn be solved? Of course you could. So I don't want to make you suffer through any more like lesson time. I know that you could figure out that like 12x plus 13y is equal to 250. We had that on our last test. We made equations like that all the time. So you just to make a couple equations out of the words, and then you can make them into a system of matrices. Okay, so we have a worksheet. Everybody find it, open it. You've already started it on your own. Nice, easy day. Not yet. Just do what I suggested first. Homework out. Just trying to see how many I should have to skip and stuff. Only one page?
No, it's 2.
Oh, there is another page. Thank you. Okay. All right. Then we're going to skip 4, 2, 4, 6, and 8. I know that was a consistent pattern there, but I didn't know until I got there to be sure that it was skip the evens. But it is skip the evens. Could you read me? Actually, can I just take your number 1? I'm going to take yours and I'll copy it and I'll give it right back to you. All right, so we're starting this together. Number 1, -2a minus -7, -8, 7, 6 equals 23, 14, -3, -20. Thank you. All right. Now, the first thing you'd want to do here is what? You tell me. I would add this to both sides. Now, do I really need to write all of that underneath to just add it? No, I think I can just know that I really only need to add it here. -7, -8, 7, and 6. because when I do, I'll write it just to like show you. I added that to both sides, and then this cancels that. Cool. Now I have negative 2a equals, and then that's going to be really easy. You just add the appropriate elements. The 23 gets added to the negative 7. It's like 23 minus 7, which is like 20 minus 4, 16, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then at the end, how will you get the 2 off of here?
Multiply by -1/2.
Nice. I was afraid somebody's going to say divide by negative 2, and you can't divide matrices, but you can multiply by the inverse. So you could multiply both sides by negative 1/2. All right, now you've got a partner. I would like you to work through problem 2. No, wait, we're skipping 2 and 4. So 1, 3, and 5 together. After that, I'm fine if you split up. Just do the first 3 questions, problems 1, 3, and 5. Make sure you're getting the right answers with them. And that's all I got for you for today.